Today, my guest is Nicole Smith. She is the CEO and founder of JMS Creative Leadership Solutions. So, Nicole, please introduce yourself and your company and tell us what you do.
Hello, Deborah. Thank you for having me today so much. I love being here. Yes, as stated, I am the CEO and founder of JMS Creative Leadership Solutions, and we are a bespoke leadership development and coaching practice, and we stand on the foundation of emotional intelligence. And so we help leaders integrate emotional intelligence into their leadership style, and we help them not make it a separate checkbox. Emotional intelligence should be a part of who you are. It should be organic, and I want every leader to walk around and say, I am an emotionally intelligent leader. Or as I say, I'm an emotional brilliant leader
Look
because,
at that.
yeah, I want them to be emotionally brilliant. But in short, helping leaders, also too, emerging leaders, or even those leaders that are at a crossroad, they may have been in leadership for so long and they want to now modernize their competencies a little
Hmm.
bit. And understand why their people are running away or walking out the door, but helping them understand the impact of their behavior, because we should be people centric in the workplace, or as
Absolutely.
I say, let's rehumanize the workplace, because it's not just about that bottom line. It's taking care of the people and making sure they feel good, or understanding how they feel about doing the work.
Absolutely. And tell me, what inspired you
Gosh.
to start your business and to transition into this?
Yes. Well, when I started, when I was in the corporate space, I was doing my, my small business as a side hustle, as they say. And it just started as leadership development. I was helping leaders in regards to their communication skills, conflict resolution, those things today that we think about in leadership development. I actually had an incident when I was a young human resources director where I was so out of character, and I literally gave away my emotional power. I slammed my hands on the desk, I cussed, and I it wasn't one of my best moments. Yeah, but here's the thing, what I said was all facts. What I said
I
was
don't take that back.
yeah, it was all facts. However, could I have delivered my message in a different way to where it was received to get the results that I desired? Absolutely.
Hmm.
And so that was 20 years ago, and I said, "There's gotta be a better way," and I have a psychology degree,
Okay.
undergrad, so I dove more into emotional intelligence, and just kept studying, and then when I stepped out of the corporate space about 6 years ago, I said, "I think I wanna dive into this more," because I was seeing the lack of emotional intelligence that was causing so much pain, and that's where I said, "Okay, I gotta dive into this more," and then I even dove into neuroscience, because
Okay.
it has a lot to do with the brain and the behavior and how you respond to your feelings and your emotions and so forth. And so I said, "Yeah, let me do this." It's a trendy word right now, but I think people just Google it and say, "Oh, okay,
Hmm.
I'm good." And it's emotional intelligence is so much more, and it helps determine how you show up in the workspace. Plus, growing up, I grew up in an emotionally chaotic household. And
Okay.
so personally, I was seeing things that were lacking at home. So I tell leaders, yes, I work with you in the workplace, but also too, I want you to understand your impact at home, in the
Correct.
workplace, and in the community you serve, because that's life. Life is all of that together. So with me taking my childhood experiences, my early career experiences, this is where I am today.
Yeah, because your outbursts and your reactions and everything has a root to it, right?
Absolutely.
Goes
And
way back, it just doesn't happen. I know that emotional intelligence, it's exactly what you were saying. People Google it. It's right now everyone talks about it a lot more
yep,
than before. It's a popular word, it's a popular theme that people usually like to address and be the experts without true
doing the
data
work.
and without
Right.
exactly.
And understanding how the brain is made up, and understanding how when you have a stimulus come to you, what do you need to do with that now? And I have, strategies that I help leaders work with, like the power of the pause, and pausing when that stimulus comes to you. Put a gap between that and now your behavior. We're in a world now where we're taught to fix it, to defend it, to react to it, and we're not taught to pause first. And so a lot of people are now seeing the consequences to their behavior, just because they didn't take 2 minutes to pause. And understanding a lot of that is showing up because of learned responses, because your emotional blueprint, because your emotional narrative. And when I 20 years ago had that outburst, it was a learned response of how I saw adult role models react to when being challenged.
Yeah.
And so I
Makes
had
sense.
to sit back and go, where did that come from? Where did that trigger come from? Because this is where I say there was a lot of people, a lot of leaders that had trauma growing up,
Mhm.
whatever span, but let's say between the age of, let's say 3 and 18, right? You had that trauma and you haven't healed from it. And when you get to the workplace and you are triggered, it shows up. And now you're wondering what just happened. And now everybody doesn't
Mhm.
want to be around you because you're, ticking time bomb. So this is where helping leaders understand the emotion. I want to say we coach through it instead of around it. Some
Okay.
coaches want to go around the emotion. We coach right through. We go through the eye of the storm. We go through the eye of the storm.
Well, that's a dangerous place sometimes, I
Sometimes it gets really quiet. It's like, nope, keep going through the storm. Absolutely.
Right, right, right. So tell me, what does a typical day look like for you? Managing all your multiple roles as a
Gosh.
CEO, as a coach, as a podcast host. How does a day look like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I have to say that I manage my schedule just a little bit better. So I want people that are listening
Good.
to this that run a business, there comes a point in your life where it does become a little easier managing your schedule. It does get overwhelming sometimes, but I have to say because that's my fault. Because I'm squeezing everything in. There's saying no, and that's just saying no, not right now. But a normal day, and I'm going to be very honest. I get up. I have a routine. I get up. I make my bed, and then depending on my schedule, I may go to the gym first because I'm an empty nester. So
Appointment is at 11. Uh-huh.
yeah, and I check my email, my social media manager, and we do have a social media calendar. I may check that to see what's going to be posting today because if people respond, I'll interact with them or engage with them on social media.
Perfect.
But it just depends what I have going on. If I'm preparing for a workshop, I'm usually customizing it for that client. So
Mhm.
because of my background in learning and development, I'm an instructional designer by trade and a trainer. So I love getting in and just creating curriculum. So that's just my
Mhm.
passion. So creating the curriculum that includes handouts, Canva, PowerPoints, and those type of things. What I have started to try to do it also is I take 30 minutes to read. It could be, listen, I have about 10 books I'm reading right now, so they're all over the place. Or I may even read my own book that I dropped about 2, 3 weeks ago. So,
I did see that.
yeah, so I may, touch on that because I'm usually asked about that, or I might post about that. But I
Mhm.
do try to read at least 30 minutes. Do you know how hard that is?
Yes.
That is so
I love
hard.
reading and it hurts me when I'm like, it's been a week. I haven't read
Yeah.
anything.
You haven't read
Yes.
anything. And here's the thing that people are like, well, let's just read. No, me going to the gym, me taking 30 minutes to read, that is focus and that is discipline. And my friends, that is emotional intelligence. And so I try to stay grounded in my disciplinary items that I do because when I don't do them, I literally feel funny.
Mhm.
I'm part of a certain foundation and fellowship programs. So I actually, for instance, today sat on a 2-hour call investing in myself. So, or investing in the business, I should say. So I don't
Mhm.
want people to sit here and think I'm just piddling around. I do take time to invest in me and invest in the business
Absolutely.
because the trainings that I'm on or the learnings that I have will help me grow my business, but as well as grow myself. Because I'm an empty nester, I may go until 6, 7 o'clock at night because I don't have kids to cook dinner for.
Exactly. Exactly.
My husband, he's a grown man, he can go find his own dinner. But yeah, wrapping up things, preparing for the next day. This is where I tell people, my own clients, try to take at least 15 minutes to wrap up your day. Do a brain dump of things that you need to accomplish or that you have accomplished, and just also to look at your calendar for the next day, just to prepare yourself. So when you wake up in the morning, again, you're not scrambling and so forth.
Correct.
But I have to say, Deborah, Monday is a slow rise. Friday is a soft landing into the weekend. And I make sure that I do not have back to back meetings. I do try to put at least 15 minutes or 30 minutes in between meetings because my clients today that I talk to are on meetings all day
Yes.
long and they get nothing done. they get nothing done and they're working till 11 o'clock at night. And so for me, I have to practice what I preach. And I make sure that my calendar is spaced out to where I can at least get up and go get a cup of water. Yes.
No, it's actually funny that you're saying that because that's more or less how my day goes
Yes.
back to back.
Yeah. And I have a dog and he knows when I'm about to get off call. He knows when it's about noon. Like he can tell by the tone of my voice I'm about to end a call. So he'll
No
come over to my
way.
desk and that's his cue. He's literally making me get up and take him
That
outside
is so
so
adorable.
he can lay on the driveway in the sun for a second. But I realized what that was doing for me. It was helping me get up, get some sun, get some fresh air, move your legs, get some water, and, and do those things, but I need people to listen to their bodies and get up and move during the day.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes it's just making it uncomfortable for things to be so ready and so, like, within arm's reach. Don't make it so easy. Make yourself get up and do something.
Do something.
Working from home and working remote and doing all these things virtually has done that. People don't have to see
Yeah.
sunlight all day
Right.
long, depending on how the day is going. And we
Absolutely.
need the sun, we need the vitamin, we need to take that time.
Yeah, but we don't realize that just going outside and getting 5 minutes of sun, it does recharge you. Sun and fresh air calms your nervous system, and I need people to do that. Well, and they're probably going, "Well, Nicole, I sit in an office." You can go outside your office. You can go
100%. You
you
should
can
go
go
outside your
outside
office.
your office.
You
Yeah,
should.
you should. So, yes, absolutely.
So going into the industry, you said that you started putting more time and effort into it. Is that right?
It was about 2019. I mean, I said, "Yeah, I think I was going to do this." I was doing a stint in a organization, and I was like, "Okay, this is not what I wanna do." I released my first book and, while I was sitting there, and then I said, "Nah, this is not for me," but people were always telling me that I was a good coach. Like, "What?" I would naturally do it in my roles because as a leader, you coach, right?
Correct.
But as in, like, get paid for it? I was like, "Okay, why not?" And so I went out, but let me tell you as a small business owner, as a woman, as a
Mhm.
female entrepreneur, I was waiting for my husband to give me permission. I sound like, "What year are we in?" And I think what that was about was if he gave me permission and it went bad,
Huh?
I could blame him. Right? But then I started to resent him because he wasn't giving me permission. I was like, "Tell me I can do this." You have to understand my husband's in finance, so it was like he always had the numbers in his mind. And
Mhm.
I was like, I would call him every day from the office. I was like, can I come home and just he was like, "You do what you feel you need to do." And I was like, "I just want a yes or no."
That's
So
not a yes.
yes. So I wanna sit here and the listeners, and if you especially as my female listeners and you're an entrepreneur, you're going into entrepreneurship, you have to give yourself permission first. And if there is a partner or spouse involved, yes, talk with them about it, but that permission lies in you. And I probably would have done it a long, long time before I did if I would have just looked at myself to say I can do it and give myself that permission. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's okay to fail if it
It
comes
is
down
okay
to
to
it,
fail. Oh my gosh.
right?
I'm not gonna tell you all the things that have crashed on me as
And
with
it's okay. It's
and
a
it's
learning
okay.
curve.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what being in the industry for this long, right? Because
Mhm.
now you've been through starting out and then COVID hit and now transitioning back to it's a normal world again, somewhat because you were working remotely. What are the major shifts that you're seeing in how coaches deliver their services compared to like 2, 3 years ago?
Wow. I wanna say it felt like it was just during COVID, like we were just on Zoom,
Mhm.
and that was the way we were working. Now I'm seeing it's almost like a hybrid. I have heard of coaches I know of coaches that have gone and got a, office space,
Okay.
and they're actually bringing clients into their office. I'm like, "Oh, okay," and those are for those coaches that are local, they can do that. I
Right.
coach global, so I have to use Zoom, and I think I'll still keep that method, but I think what I'm interested in or what I've seen other coaches do is they're using apps now where you're putting your information into an app. So someone can go to your app and you can coach them that way.
Okay.
There's other cool tools like Hello Audio Boxer that I think of people are, like, coaching people, like, doing, like, messaging, like, audio messages and coaching their clients through audio messages. So, like, in the morning, I would send a message to, like, different clients based on what I know they're going through, and I would
Huh?
just tell them, "Hey, remember when we talked about," and I would send that as a recording. I know other coaches that are using WhatsApp to coach,
Right.
again, using the recordings. But also too, what I have moved into is more of that digital offering. So I have a store where you can download, handouts, documents, because I have so much content, folks. I have created workbooks so you can buy a series of workbooks. I have rewritten my first book that I dropped, a couple of weeks ago. But I also, too, within that same store, you can sign up for my short videos for YouTube. I'm my podcast. So I am using certain methods to reach my
Mhm.
audience to where they don't feel like they always have to what we call touch you.
Right.
They still feel like they're getting coached, though. So
Right.
I see coaches, which I'm very impressed with. They're using different methods to coach, and I don't know if we'll talk about this, but, I'm using AI to
Good.
help. Yeah,
That's the next question.
I am using AI. I like to say me and AI, I think I have fallen in love. But I grew up in a household, my father was in the Air Force and he was in technology, so I always had technology, so I was never afraid of AI.
Right.
Just like any new technology that comes about, still let your brain run first, right? Let your brain run first. And then you use AI to clarify, to expand on the thought, give you other ideas. And also, too, I like to use it primarily for a productivity time. It is such a time saver, especially when I'm trying to provide new content for my digital piece, when I'm trying to create this documentation, podcast topics, those type of things.
Yep.
So I am a big fan of AI.
Good.
Just like any other technology, it can be used for bad. But I tell people, I said, online banking came and we got through that, right?
Right.
Uber came about, right?
Mhm.
We got through that. Uber can be used for bad as well, as we've seen. As things technology pace goes along or increases,
Mhm.
we are gonna have to keep up. We have
Absolutely.
to survive. We have to keep up. And this is where I tell people AI will not replace you, okay? But somebody who knows AI will.
Yep.
That's what I keep trying to tell people. And if
That
you're
is
not
actually very good.
yeah, if you're not using AI as a coach or any or a type of professional service, if you're not using AI, you are probably about 50 steps behind right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
And I spoke with someone in the tech industry
Mhm.
essentially, and what he told me is people who are using AI now, they just cannot forget who has the brain.
That's it. I love it. Use your brain. It's like it's not to replace your brain. I still want people to use their critical thinking skills. I still want you to use your executive function, as we call it. But AI helps in regards to, scheduling, funnels, sale funnels. AI is used in all the tools. When you're using those funnel tools, you're not thinking AI is in that tool, but AI is in that
Correct.
tool.
100%.
Another tool that I use, which I'm a big fan of that uses AI, is I created assessments for my business. I do use psychometric assessments, which are validated by the American Psychological Association, so they're really robust. But I created some simpler assessments through a tool
Mhm.
called Score app. And what this tool does help me do is not only for you be able to assess your leadership style, your EQ impact assessment, or anything like that. EQ impact is my signature framework. But what a tool does is once I get a lead, it tells me I have a lead, and then I can go in there and hit, "Hey, a sales email by AI," and it literally will craft a beautiful email based on your score. So you know how much time that saves me and not
Yeah.
having to go and evaluate. Now I look at the assessment,
Right.
but to go in and
Analyze the whole thing.
yeah, when that tool can do it for me, and what I do, people, when I get the email, I do read it, And then I go back and make sure that it is talking about this assessment, right? That score, I do make sure it's valid and reliable, but it creates a beautiful email for me to use that now as my lead generator. And so this is where I'm using this tool, a lead funnel tool, but AI is wrapped up in it and it has saved me hours.
That's actually interesting that you're saying because again, you are using some tools, which is
Mhm.
what I believe is happening with a lot of coaches in different industries. There are some tools that you're using and you're saying I really enjoy this and it facilitates so much of what I can do
Right.
and how fast I can do it, but I know there's so much more that I need to get to.
Yes. Yes. There is so much more I need to get to. I wish I could clone myself and just use there's like a list of tools I have on a Post-it note that I hear other people using or like other friends I have in the coaching industry,
Mhm.
and they're using this tool and that tool and this tool, making beautiful videos, which I have on my list too. Then I'm like, this is great. This is great. What I have done though is that I had to sit back and understand what I was trying to accomplish at this time.
Uh-huh.
Because if I sit and play with all these tools, I will feel like I'm back in my Nintendo days, Atari days, trying to play a video game, right? Because there's just so many. So what I've done is I've used AI to help me generate my strategy for 2025. AI to help me create my strategy.
Mhm.
And so with that strategy, it literally has broken it down by this quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and now we're getting into first quarter of 2026. And so what I've done each quarter is I go through and I'll just slot, okay, I need to look at this tool because I base it on what do I need to focus on right now because we
Mhm.
get so caught up on everything because it's like Christmas out there with all the tools. But I
It's
focus
impossible to keep up.
yeah, so focusing on automation, right? Focusing on my CRM, and the tool I use for that, the AI tool that's in that, how can I use that to help me in regards to my customer management system? Using, like I said, the score assessment, using that tool to help me generate more leads, my email automation tool within my website. Using the tools that I have, my website has an email, not trying to go
Mhm.
out and buy other tools. That's another thing you got to be careful because you could spend a lot of money trying to get into these tools but use it in email sequence, my automation in that. So I focus on automation first, and then my next priority is um, lead gen, and then marketing. What tools can help me with marketing? Some of those I'm using at the same time, but I truly have to sit down and say, okay, what's my focus right now? Because, like I said, otherwise I would get so wrapped up in all the tools,
Right.
and they can be expensive. They can be expensive.
100%.
Yeah,
It's expensive, it's time consuming
yeah,
to know what is working out there unless you're, like, getting that feedback, which is great that you're listening to other coaches in the
yeah.
industry to say what's working for you.
Right.
That's usually a very smart strategy, right? Because then you don't have to figure it out on your own. And what's been the biggest challenge in scaling your coaching business while maintaining the quality of it?
I wanna say the biggest challenge, it's marketing, making sure I'm hitting the right customer because sometimes it seems like my customer changes every day. Literally, my age has gone down. When I first started, it was like 35 to 55, and now I'm hitting the 30-year-olds because they're coming to me saying, "I wanna get into leadership positions." So I've had to shift my marketing a little and understanding the platforms, you have to understand all the different platforms that your clients are on. All
Mhm.
your clients are not on TikTok, right?
Correct.
Majority of my clients are on LinkedIn. But I
Uh-huh.
love Instagram, right? I love playing on Instagram because Instagram is easy to hit. And I want to say marketing can be challenging at times because I want to make sure I'm hitting the right client at the right time and making sure I'm giving them what they need,
Mhm.
but also too, when I say marketing, that leads to conversion. And that's the
Correct.
challenging part is that we can have all the likes and we can have all the people following us, but if it's not converting, it means nothing. I'd rather have 100 followers and convert 50%
Right.
than have 12,000 and only convert 10, So
The
it
P&L is not moving
that
then.
P&L is not moving, and that's what I have to constantly remind myself of is it's about conversion. It's about conversion, the ROI and conversion, and
Yeah,
making sure
and
I'm
with a
doing
husband being in finances.
he's always asking for numbers. It's always
I
asking for
love it, I
numbers.
love it.
Yeah, it's always asking for
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah.
So in your view, what separates the top performers from the rest in the industry? The those coaches that you look up to, the coaches that are in the next level you want to achieve,
Right.
and the ones who are not yet at the level that you have achieved? What
Right.
do you think separates them?
I think having built the systems that scale,
Mhm.
those are the coaches that I'm seeing just poof, take off, and I'm like, "What are they doing?" Because we want to focus on, "I gotta become a better coach. I need to coach better." And I'm like, "No, I need to focus. I'm a good coach. I now need to focus on those systems, building the systems so I can scale." So that's what I see as the unique difference. You can invest in yourself to become a better at your craft,
Mhm.
perfectly fine. But I have to say at the level that I'm at, I am now investing in helping me build those systems
Mhm.
so I can scale. I know in the end the ROI will help develop me as well. The difference is building those systems. You have to have good systems.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
especially for lead generation.
Yes.
Again, because everything starts with having a pipeline, right?
Yes.
Even with your main goal being, I'm here to help people. I understand what you need. I understand where the traumas and the outbursts and
Uh-huh.
everything come from.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's a business,
It is a
right?
business.
I love people, but I do have a business to run at the end of the day.
And I'm glad you said that because this is not a hobby. Somebody in the coaching industry, people that are in the coaching industry, normally we keynote, we have books and authors and so forth. But, you know, when it comes to like pricing and so forth, I need people out there to understand this is not a hobby. And when people kind of go, oh, they don't want to invest, I turn around and say, well, what happens if you don't? What happens if you don't? And it's not that I'm trying to quote, get your money. That's not
Mhm.
it. I am literally pouring my life into this to help you have a transformative experience. So you can look back on the last 6 months and go, wow, look at how far I've come. And
Mhm.
you are not only a better leader, but you're also to a better person. You're a better person in the end.
Yeah, and
So,
your team can see it,
yes.
and it will change at home, it will change with the team because of how you react to certain things, and
Right.
something that I learned too is and it actually caught me off guard because I don't beat around the bushes way
Mhm.
too much.
Straight shooter.
So someone actually told me and they brought it to my attention
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Why don't you turn it into a question?
Mm,
Instead of saying like this is what needs to be done, turn it into a question and say, "What's going on here?
I like
How is
that.
this looking?" So it makes us look at the data. It
Mhm.
makes us look at exactly where you want
Yeah.
to take us, but not necessarily in a very aggressive
So
way or making them feel bad about it.
yeah.
And she's like, turn it into a question. I'm like, that's brilliant.
It is brilliant. I mean, and that's what they say in coaching. They say in coaching, you ask a lot of questions. I like to say I'm an instructional coach because I have to teach in regards to emotional intelligence and that
Hmm.
neuroscience and so forth. But in coaching, I'm not a like a feely coach, like, Deborah, how does that make you feel today?
Right.
It's so what do you think will make you get the results that you desire? What behavior do
Hmm.
you feel that you need to change to have Johnny respect you more as a leader or open up to you or trust you and so forth? So I'm also good for saying, "That's interesting. Tell me more." 'Cause it does, I wanna spark curiosity, I wanna not shut it down, I do want you to tell me more. So, yeah, asking questions, that's turning you now into that
Right.
coaching leader, and I want you to say that you're assertive, not aggressive, because
Well,
aggressive is where you're manipulating the situation, and you're not
right. And
manipulative,
it's
right? Yeah.
people's perception too.
Yeah.
Depending on how you present yourself, your intent is to be assertive, but you're coming off as aggressive.
Exactly, so it's the intent versus the impact. You have to know the difference in that. See, that we just had a
Absolutely.
coaching session, look at there.
I love it. So, what are you most excited about in 2026?
My book that I just released, 20 Golden Leadership Nuggets Refined by EQ Impact, which is over here.
That way.
Yes, which is over there. That book rolled out on September 8th. I'm looking for 2026 to really have that book take off. I'm really excited about it. I poured my heart into it. So I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to there's some ideas I have in regards to licensing and certification of my framework. And that is another thing that I'm seeing some coaches do is creating some type of certification or some type of licensing because that is a constant revenue stream.
Absolutely.
So looking into that, but again, pacing myself because sometimes there's some ideas that I have that are brilliant, right? Brilliant. And I want to go with them. And my admin is like, wait, slow down. Hold on, wait a second. Because, I just here's us when you're in the service business and you create products and
Mhm.
services, you gotta give things time. You gotta plant it. You gotta give things time for it to bloom. And there are times where we don't wait for it to bloom. We're like, "Oh my god, it's not growing, it's not coming through the dirt." So moving on to something else. And this is where I say pause and just
Mhm.
allow it to bloom and see what happens. Because also too, it doesn't mean you just pull it up at the ground and throw it away. Sometimes you might need to massage it some more and
Right.
nurture it some more. You may even have to pivot a little bit with it.
Mhm.
So I have some ideas, but licensing and certification is one of those concepts that I'm looking into. I'm actually excited. I'm trying to get some more keynote speaking
Good.
opportunities. I love speaking to masses of people because to me I have a bigger reach, right? I
Mhm.
have a bigger reach and I feel like I just impact more people at once and I feel that that is my
100%.
purpose. That's what I'm supposed to be doing is sharing everything that I've learned in regards to how emotional intelligence has helped me professionally as well as personal. Because I've been married 27 years. So there's a secret there, folks. There's a secret there. But also to expanding my team, trying to decide which roles to grab onto first or to hire first in regards to where we are in the business at that time. So this is where I say I'm already in the first quarter of 2026. If you're not behind, don't want to scare anybody, but yeah, so I'm in the first quarter and those are a couple of things that I'm looking at
So
doing.
for all of the things that you're saying, which is really exciting, you have a
Mhm,
lot. You have the book that came out that you want to make sure that you take it to the next
mhm,
level. You have systems that you're working on
yep,
and ways to streamline your internal process in
mhm,
order to get to the next level as a coach and as a consultant. You love talking to people, and
I
I can
love it.
totally tell. When it comes to your processes and your systems,
Mhm.
what are you thinking when it comes to priority level? And you're like, I have to organize it all and I can't tackle it all. What is number 1 and number 2 priorities for you right now?
I want to invest in a good lead funnel generator system.
Mhm.
And I know that there are some out there. With that, I want to be able to hire a consultant to help me build it, teach it to me so I can, at least know the
Right.
concept of it. I have to say I did that back in January. I did. I hired
Okay.
someone and to help me and it did not go well. And again, that goes back to lessons learned. I don't think I asked the right questions.
Mhm.
So now here we are again, and I wanna invest in a good lead funnel, a funnel system to where it runs beautifully, right?
Mhm.
But I do wanna hire somebody to be able to help me do that because as CEO, sometimes I can find myself getting into the weeds, and I have to pull myself
Really?
out. You don't say. And what I say, you need to work on the business and not in the business, and so that's what my next investment will be
So
for that.
that's what it would be if you had a magic wand.
If I had a magic wand and it's so funny, that is what I would love to do is to have somebody help me just build that out, give them all the information, say, "Here you go, take it," and they build it and click on the button and we go. I'm just getting chills just thinking about it because in my mind, I know I have notes on how I wanna do it and how I wanna build it.
Well, just because it didn't blossom does not mean it didn't have roots.
Exactly, and that's why I said I'm not scrapping it. I
Correct.
just had to get all my feelings together about it. I was upset. And again, I went and I said, "Okay, let me focus on my book, rewriting my book. Let me get the workbooks out and so forth, and then I'll just bring it all together and I'll get a good system." I know there's some good systems out there, and I could
Good.
probably rattle off a few, but they're not sponsoring the show, so I
Well, one of the things that we do ask essentially is, and I think I have gotten more or less of the answer to this,
Yeah.
is what would you do differently if you were starting over today? And I feel like one of the answers you could give is you would have started sooner.
I would have started sooner. I got all when I came out of the corporate space, I got all excited because clients were just coming. And I was like, what in the world? And I was so focused on coaching. And then it was like, wait, 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 wait. I can't coach forever. I need to do some other streams of income, right?
Yes.
And so, yeah, I probably would have started I did use a tool, an automation tool. I worked with a vendor that it went beautifully where I gained, connections on LinkedIn. It
Mhm.
went great. I refer people to him every day. He's fantastic. But it was just going so fast too. So I was like, "I got this." After COVID, I was like, "I got this." But yeah, I probably would have started that lead, that funnel.
Generation?
I would have started the funnel, building that funnel so much sooner to where it just now would just be a dream right now. It would just run like a dream right now.
Good, because 'cause you're ready for it.
I'm ready. I'm so ready for it. Let's go. Let's go.
So, and what's that final advice that you would give coaches looking to scale their business through systems and automations? Because, of course, like you were saying, you're already in Q1 of 2026, and there are so many people who are not thinking there yet. They're just thinking, let me finish the last quarter strong,
Yeah.
and then I'll start worrying about it. But what would you say if they're looking to scale? What would you give them as an advice?
If they're looking to scale, this is where I would say go out and research other coaches that are doing things. I know I follow one coach. Her name is Amy Porterfield.
Okay.
And she does really well. I kinda keep an eye on her and her lead gen and so forth, and she does very well. So, I would say go and research other coaches that are in your same space, right? Watch what they're doing, sign up for their emails if they have free master classes because they also too are helping others scale. They're giving that advice on how to do that. But then I want you to sit back and strategize for the next 12 months. What are you trying to accomplish? And break it down by quarters and then focus on those quarters. Because the reason why I say that is because if you look at the whole year, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to wind up spending a lot of money on stuff that you don't even need. So I would say, what is your focus? What are you trying to accomplish in 2026? Since we're talking about next year, what do you want to accomplish? How will you get to that and focus on that one thing? And then you can start slowly bringing in some other items that you want to focus on. Because like I said, there's a lot of great stuff out there, a lot of good tools, a lot of good everything. But if you're gonna become overwhelmed, you're gonna spend a lot of money that you shouldn't spend, and then you're gonna become defeated because you're just
Mhm.
like, "I can't do this." So really sit down and think about what you wanna accomplish for 2026. How much do you wanna increase your business by? And what are those automations and systems that you need to help you grow? So like I had told you earlier, so you're not the talent, you
Correct.
know? So you are not the talent. You have other people that are considered the talent within your company as
And one of the hardest things I feel for leaders is being able to duplicate themselves.
right. I can't clone myself.
But you have to duplicate yourself in the sense that people know how you would approach certain things and how you would address it, so it's aligned with your vision.
Exactly. So, you need to make sure too, one of the also too, a piece of advice is I know the data is scary at times. So go look at your data. That means, looking at your P&L, seeing where your biggest stream of income is, looking at those numbers, how your conversion rates, your email rates, and so forth. Look at your metrics because that's what I did. In 2024, I was heavy on workshops, believe it my memory, so I was heavy on workshops. So I was like, "Okay, why am I running away from workshops?" Because I was like, "I don't wanna do another workshop." But I realized this actually is good. This is
Mhm.
good. Let me get some standard workshops going, and that has literally been a big stream of income this year is workshops. So
Good.
it's looking at that data, looking at your ROI, seeing where the numbers are coming in. You have to look at the metrics. If you're not looking at your metrics, yeah, I don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. And one thing that you were also saying is which is to follow the coaches that are doing these things that are at that next level because it reminded me of what Tony Robbins says, which is success leaves clues, right? You
Yes,
don't have
I
to
like it.
reinvent the wheel.
I
It's
like it.
it's essentially what are they doing? Where have they gotten? I could just follow the steps and
And a lot of times we're sitting here going, "Oh, I don't know how she's doing that." It's like, no, lean in and go, "How is she doing that?" And look at that. I mean, I see other coaches, I follow them on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and I'm like, "How are they doing this?" So, yeah, and so, like you said, I like you said, success, it leaves a trail, it leaves clues. It leaves clues
yep,
for
yep.
you.
So, Nicole, this has been amazing,
Yes,
incredibly
this has been great.
insightful. I know our listeners are going to get immense value from it. Of course, your experience and perspective are great because you come from the corporate world and then you gave yourself a shot, right, at making this thing work and giving yourself permission, which
Mhm.
is great to hear, and all of that. So, how can people actually connect with you, learn more about your work, learn more about what you do? And
Absolutely. So I'm just going to first put out there my website is www.thenicolefsmith. The Nicole, the Nicole. Some people get mixed up. Nicole F Smith.com. All my information is out there. But on the socials, I am the Nicole F. Smith on Instagram, on LinkedIn, Nicole F. Smith. You can find me out there. Just Google me and I will pop up.
her Instagram does have good stuff. It
Yeah,
does,
thank
because
you,
I've
thank you,
checked it
thank
out.
you. Yes, and it's just social media. That's another thing with coaches is like people. I hear some people say, "Oh, I don't like social media." You have got to use social media because your audience is out there. You just
Oh,
have
yeah.
to find them and create that content that pulls them in.
Absolutely, you just have to learn exactly who that person is that you can bring value to them, right? Because at the end of the day, it comes down to that.
Right.
When you bring value,
Yep.
people are willing to pay.
And there's systems within there too. So you should in systems within social media too to attempt to make it a little easier for you.
Absolutely. Nicole, thank you so much for joining me today on the Consulting Code, the Expert Series. This conversation was truly powerful. Your insights around emotional intelligence, leadership, and scaling with systems offered so much value for every entrepreneur and coach tuning in. I love how you reminded us that leadership is not about power. It's about people, courage, and self-awareness. For those listening, make sure to connect with Nicole online at thenicolefsmith.com and follow her on LinkedIn and Instagram for more of her thought leadership and upcoming projects. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear it, and stay tuned for more conversations with experts redefining growth, leadership, and the future of business. I'm Debora De Sousa, and this is the Consulting Code, the Expert Series. Thanks again, Nicole. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on.